Hello, this is Baron von Richthofen. I'm going to watch a replay that was sent in by LittleKoi. It should be really exciting. It's a high elo solo queue match. Definitely recognize a number of these names. Mega Zero and Mary B, duo queue a lot. Dan Din on the enemy team. Kenneth, Fiona Best used to jungle, might still jungle for some, competitive teams. But as we look at the matchups, we see that LittleKoi is going to be playing Anivia with Amumu in the jungle, Akali top, and Tristana Janna bottom. The enemy team is going to have Karthus mid with Gangplank in the jungle, Garen top, and Soraka and Caitlyn bottom. Now, one of the interesting things about this matchup, definitely, interesting team comps. Akali is a very strong burst assassin kind of champion, usually pretty strong in lane, but she's going up against Garen, who, really is a hard counter to Akali. It's an exceedingly difficult lane. The silence, can prevent her from dealing her damage or escaping, and then his spin really just can be really frustrating for Akali. And so usually when you have a difficult lane such as that, you will expect jungle support, but Amumu as a ganker isn't really that effective. He is completely dependent on his bandage toss and his ultimate. If he hits the bandage toss, yeah, that's great. He's going to do a lot of damage, and they could potentially get a kill there. But generally speaking, it's pretty easy to dodge, and if his ultimate's down, then he's not really going to be effective. Whereas Gangplank, on the other hand, is a very strong jungler. So that's definitely going to be a tough lane for Akali. She's going to want to play defensive and, get some farm in while she can, look for good opportunities, and just really play safe, because that is going to be difficult for her. Everyone else is going to be pretty standard lanes. We do see that Purple has 3 global abilities, so they are probably going to be very aggressive as a team. Garen is definitely a little bit more of an early game champion, but Karthus, if he gets his farm in, gets some kills potentially, will have incredible damage output as the game progresses. They both have kind of AoE teams in a sense, though clearly blue team is a much stronger AoE team. They do have Anivia and Amumu, but they also have great single target bursts with both Tristana and Akali. So it should be interesting to see those kind of dynamics. I think a lot of this game is going to be decided based on early game pressure, and whether or not Purple can get that pressure. I think blue will be a little bit more suited for combat. They do have the support from Janna, as well as a number of disables from Anivia and Amumu, for example, and they have lots, very significant damage. Garen, he could potentially get in on them, but I think that with Janna and Anivia, they will be able to kind of keep him at bay for a while. He shouldn't, really be threatening them that much in fights, though if he does get into range, his silence and damage output will clearly be very devastating for their comp and for Anivia, but they should be able to kite him fairly effectively. So I think really the key is going to be using these globals, using the heals from Soraka to counter their burst, and just taking an early advantage and then kind of letting the game snowball from there. But should definitely be an interesting matchup. We see that both junglers are starting blue, pretty defensive, normal. Actually, I don't think Gangplank's starting blue. His team is set up over there, but he actually, if you see, does have a Vamp Scepter. So he can do blue, but he needs a monstrous pull. Like he basically can't do blue by himself. He needs he needs his team to do it for him, and then give it to him. So he might just be doing wolves over to wraiths, or he might come down wolves and then steal Amumu's wraiths. It should be a pretty easy steal for him. Will help him with his jungle, and the benefit of the Vampiric Scepter is, his first back, he can buy boots or cloth armor and just sustain through jungle very effectively. It's a little more aggressive to go cloth. You do get levels a little bit faster. As long as you keep up with the jungle, you get levels faster by taking the small camps, because they will respawn faster. But you do get to 4 and out ganking a little bit faster if you do a cloth armor jungle. So it's really a trade-off. And you see he is going wolves. They don't see if he went down to the wraiths or if he's going to his own wraiths. So he might actually be going to his own wraiths. But Akali already forced to use a health pot. A little surprising. Garen coming in. I don't know how much damage she's taken that she needed to use a health pot that early. And Gangplank coming in very aggressive early on. He wasn't really that effective. But getting Anivia away from those creeps and getting her to kind of in that sort of panic mode, and Karthus is able to do a ton of damage with these dots. He just keeps on hitting Anivia. Anivia did hit him with the stun and throw out her E, but Karthus is still laying on the pain. Anivia has to flash, otherwise she was going to go down. She would have been in egg form, but it would have been very easy to hit. And Janna and Tristana chasing down, they're able to pick up the Soraka kill. Soraka is being played by Dan, almost getting Caitlyn as well, significant amount of damage there. Amumu coming in, and Karthus is in a poor position, but again you see it's fairly easy to dodge the bandage toss. You do want to try and force people into a wall. He could have held on to it for a little bit longer. That was a little bit too aggressive. But if they can get the stun onto Karthus, then Anivia should have enough damage for the kill. And Amumu's coming back in. He just wants to kind of sit mid, let Anivia get some levels, and kind of get that lane back since she was losing it rather early. Karthus is throwing some damage onto Amumu though. Karthus won't be able to get the kill, but this is going to set Amumu back in his jungle. He just keeps chasing him down. And the stun from Anivia, able to throw off that double damage on his Flash Frost, just really effective harass there. And Amumu, even though he went cloth and health potions, he won't be able to get his red early. He is going to have to go back after he takes these golems. So he's going to be a little bit behind in his jungle. But so far, it's definitely in their advantage. Garen chasing down Akali, throwing out a lot of damage. Akali has all of her health pots used, and Garen is just sitting pretty here. He still has a health pot, and he will have his passive regen. So he is just completely in control. Akali jumping down on Garen. Garen has to flash away. Akali flashes after him. She gets the Q, the mark of the assassin, with the double damage on the attack, and is able to pick up the kill. So a little careless by Garen. I'm surprised he was so low. And he hadn't been using that health pot. He was holding on to it, hoping that his passive would heal him up. So I assumed he had a little bit more health. But Akali definitely taking advantage of the opportunity. And even though Garen is, very strong in lane against Akali, that kill is really going to help her out, and it actually will likely turn into a tough lane for Garen, because she will have a level advantage, she will have an item advantage, and Gangplank's coming in. The Flash Frost from Anivia goes on to Karthus, but Anivia will go down. Here's the egg, and Gangplank and Karthus will take her down very quickly. And lots of action in this game. Anivia does go down, so Karthus will have the lead in this lane. But top and bottom are both at the advantage of blue team. So, hopefully if Anivia can play a little bit safer, use that range, they probably will want to get a ward around mid, either in the top jungle or a ward to cover the river, because you see that Anivia does have a ward because of how aggressive Gangplank is, and the slow from Gangplank and the slow from Karthus. She really needs to be a little more defensive and get that wall off, but it can really be difficult to run away from that damage output. And you see Garen using his judgment on Akali. Akali throwing off some damage, pretty even in harass actually. Even though she does have a slight lead, she has the ability power items, whereas Garen only has the boots and health pots. He wasn't able to get anything on his recall. But you saw the damage was even, and the Janna misses her W onto Caitlyn. They threw off the ignite. It might have just been Tristana's dot, but getting a lot of damage, and Janna actually W'd a creep, so they missed some damage there. The jump in from Tristana, the silence from Soraka will protect Caitlyn for a second, but Caitlyn stayed in to fight her. Caitlyn just netted into Tristana. I'm not sure how low Tristana is that Caitlyn netted. I'm assuming that Caitlyn misclicked and is just kicking herself for that. Karthus is missing, probably recalled, should be okay. Akali really needs a ward top. Akali's generally pretty safe, which is one of the reasons she's a strong top lane, and she's pretty pushed back, so she will be okay. She can just throw down her cloak and walk away, and that should be fine. But even so, it would be nice to have a ward so that if she wants to be aggressive on Garen, it seems that Garen might be baiting her out actually. He kind of keeps on creeping over here like, hey Akali, how's it going? So I wouldn't be surprised if Gangplank is top, and Akali's Shroud is down now, which is kind of what you want to do as the lane, if you can bait out the Shroud before the gank, and Gangplank is actually bottom. But Garen throwing down his damage, he throws down the Ignite and the ultimate onto Akali. She's ticking away, the Karthus ultimate will pick up this kill, and there is Akali. So, again, you see the aggression from Purple. Gangplank had been chasing down Tristana, and Soraka is able to pick up the kill onto Tristana. Janna flashes away and does die to that red buff, along with the damage from the ultimate and the Q. And Anivia and Karthus going at it yet again. Anivia doesn't have her egg because of that last fight, so she definitely needs to be careful. Karthus doesn't have the ultimate, but with that catalyst, really just wielding, you know, Karthus' strength mid, being very aggressive, getting that harass onto Anivia. It's pretty difficult to hit the dot, but if you can successfully get that damage out, it really is just painful. It's a lot of damage, and because Amumu is top, and they had just gotten a double kill bottom, they are going for an 8-minute dragon, very aggressive, and will just further their lead. Amumu's coming down. There's not really anything he can do. He really shouldn't even walk down there, so he will not. But they are really far behind. What is the kill count? The kill is 4-3, so fairly even, but they are up on that dragon. So it's actually a pretty even game, because Bot did get that first blood. But Karthus is definitely getting farmed mid. As we take a look, it's pretty even in farm all around, but Karthus has a slight advantage to go along with the fact that he is 2-0-2. He is getting those kills, so being farmed and getting those kills, he's going to have all of his items. He's going to have about a 10-minute Rod of Ages. Gangplank coming in very aggressively, but Anivia did ward that brush, and Gangplank has very little health. He will be able to use his, eat his... I don't even remember what it is. Use his cleanse to get out of Anivia's stun if Anivia does throw that off. And Amumu giving the blue to Anivia, that'll definitely help her out a lot. She can start spamming some damage, and her harass is much easier to use. Gangplank coming in on Akali. Akali's very low, was kind of taking you know, a little bit of damage, fighting Garen there, and way out of position. And Akali flashes, Garen flashes after her, so they are neck to neck, and Akali just barely getting back to the tower. Gangplank could not reach in. Akali really very fortunate. They actually CV'd at that time. Very heads-up play by Janna. She recognized that Akali was going in on this fight and that they didn't have vision of this jungle. So, you know, really Akali can thank her life to Janna there. Akali coming over to see if Gangplank is taking that red. It should be up about now, but he may have cleared it already, but he didn't have it a second ago. So actually he was slow on red because he started with Vamp Scepter. That's right. So his red should be up in another minute because he did have to recall. Garen coming down, I'm assuming after Akali, but yeah, it was after Akali. See if he can catch her in the river. And, you know, just again, that blue buff will allow Anivia to take back control of the lane, even though Karthus is so far ahead. And Amumu coming in, he misses the bandage toss, but he throws down the ultimate. The damage from Anivia, she doesn't get the Flash Frost. They had an easy kill if they had the Flash Frost, but the Ignite is going off onto Karthus. I believe they got the kill onto Karthus. I can't tell. They did not get the kill. So Karthus did use his exhaust to, you know, end his wall, to kind of get out of that really difficult situation. Anivia, even though Karthus was stationary, missed the Flash Frost, so unfortunately was not able to pick up that kill. And Karthus will sit in lane here because he knows that Anivia has to go back, and he has that catalyst. Garen just spinning on top of that smoke screen from Akali. She really will need to be careful, but she does have a lot of damage output with that Mark of the Assassin. She just lets herself become visible. I'm surprised. Usually you'll want to do damage and then just run away. She will get out of there okay, not taking any further damage. But you did see that Gangplank, it appeared, and Karthus were coming down into this jungle, maybe stealing this red. Amumu asking for a CV at red. Soraka putting out the ward, so Gangplank knows that he's safe if he's taking it, and they're not really checking, so I believe Gangplank did just take that red. And here he is coming back very aggressively. He did steal the red, but they do have vision of him, Soraka and Janna, so they will get some damage off onto Gangplank. You know, they have the shield, so Tristana really isn't at much of a threat there. And Tristana just doing great job positioning. Akali actually killed Garen top. The ultimate from Caitlyn made her stationary, allowed Tristana to get some more damage in, and Amumu and Anivia were able to chase Gangplank out, but the dragon, it actually hasn't spawned yet. I was just thinking, they haven't cleared the vision. Dragon will be up at about the 14-minute mark, so another 2 minutes to go for that. Amumu is coming down, but they do have this warded, so they should see him. They did see Gangplank. Anivia doing a good job keeping the wards in the river, and Anivia will wall off Gangplank. You know, really trying to just continue the pressure onto mid that she has faced all game. And if you really think about it, Anivia is the most successful lane for Gangplank to gank, not only because of how successful they've been so far. Karthus is kind of trapped down here. There's not really anyone to engage, so Karthus will get out. Janna kind of coming up tentatively. They are wary of Karthus' damage, and I'm not sure what Karthus is doing. Really, you don't want to be leaving your lane as